Skolton from CPAC 2021 here in the great state of Texas in Dallas. The weather and the humidity not getting to me yet, but I'm sure it will eventually before I leave. We've been having an amazing time interviewing politicians from everywhere, but people who really truly care about what's going on in America and their state. And this gentleman with me today is just the same, passionate and zealous about what he believes and what he is doing. Anthony Bouchard is an American politician who is in the Senate currently in Wyoming, but he's running for Congress. And we're here to talk to him today about his belief system and what he's dealing with currently in Wyoming. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure. You know, at CPAC, we've seen a ton of zealous people, really passionate about their beliefs, conservative beliefs, sticking true to grassroots movements, and also evangelical belief systems. Wyoming, we know, is pro-gun, seems to be pro-life and very red. How have you decided to transition from Senate to Congress?
Well, kind of what happened is my fight has been always with the rhinos. We only have, like in the Senate right now, we only have 2 Democrats out of 30 senators. House, I think, has, I want to say 7 to 9, I can't remember how many Democrats, but it's very low number of Democrats. It's always been the fight with the Republicans. And we get into that same story with Liz Cheney, someone who said, I'm going to defend the Constitution, I want to fight for the conservative values. And then what she has done is done the opposite. When we came to crucial votes to cut spending, she was on the wrong side. We come to crucial votes on repealing Obamacare, she's been on the wrong side. D-rating with liberty votes across the board. I think I'm in the junior leagues now, if you want to say that. And I think it's time to advance to the professional leagues. And I say that, using the baseball analogy. But we have too many people that go to Congress, and it's like Mr. Smith goes to Congress. Well, how did that work out? That was a movie that people should watch. They have all these great ideas, and they go there and find out they're going to get pummeled by leadership. I've had that experience with leadership where they try to work against you, and I don't work for them. I've been the guy that pushes back at leadership. And I think you have to have some of that experience in life. You can't just go to Congress and say, hey, I'm going to go back and fight for American values. You've got to have a little bit of scars, battle scars on you, where you've already done that. Because if you don't, and you haven't proven yourself at the junior leagues, how in the world are you going to go back and fight when you have real pressures, real opposition?
And those scars are battle wounds that build your character, as you said. And every time you have to deal with something, it improves upon your character, but your outlook and your execution, which is important. You said something that I find intriguing. We fight against the rhinos, the Republicans in name only, the people who are in there either to split votes, cause dissension among a party. With Liz, who you're currently running against for 2022, she voted, if I'm correct, on impeaching Trump. Okay, so that's a big thing for a Republican to vote for impeaching Trump when we knew that he really didn't have an impeachable offense. A lot of it was conjecture. That shows a lot of character issues and flaws that we need to look at and say, okay, what do we really want for Wyoming? What do we really want for America? What do we really want to do for the future? So you're that man that is not willing to have levels of compromise. You can't be bought and sold by the lobbying parties, the pharmaceutical companies, or none of the liking.
Well, look, when I ran on my last re-election, I actually, in the paper, I said I'm not going to be taking any PAC money. And I said, because if we're going to fix the problems in Cheyenne, we have to do it where the influencers aren't speaking louder than the people. And so I gave checks back to PACs. I will tell you, in this race, if I would have had PACs that cared about America and cared about freedom, and they were coming, I would probably take their money. Because they have the same values. But, so I just want to be clear about that. But I think that is what's happening in politics. There's just too many people that want that seat at the table, and they're buying that vote. I've always believed that if the people want me in office, they'll support me. They'll be the ones that donate to a campaign. And so many people ask, well, why do you need money for a campaign? Well, you can't do mail programs. You can't do statewide radio programs.
It takes money.
It does take money. So being bought, you should see, I mean, how many lobbyists are, even in the state legislature, how many lobbyists are involved trying to do things. And some of the things that I've done that really don't apply to freedom per se, but I'm on Health and Labor Committee, and I saw problems that needed to be fixed. We had Medicaid fraud cover-up, where the state fires the guy who's trying to investigate it, has the evidence, he turns the evidence over to the feds, actually goes to federal court. That doctor went to jail because of him, but not in his capacity as a state employee, in his capacity as a citizen. And it just, this stuff gets covered up.
Yeah.
I did
Corruption.
I did a bill to make the AG elected because the AG was actually friends with the doctor. That's why they were covering it up. And you'll see that leadership doesn't like it when you're doing that. I don't care what they want. I don't work for them.
Yeah.
And they do things to you, man. They're gonna try to take you off committees. They're gonna push back at you. They're gonna make sure your bills are killed. They do things like that. In other words, if you work against us, we're gonna pay you back.
And you fought the good fight. You've endured some of this already. So you're familiar. So you're not gun shy with going into Congress and saying, you know what, here I am, right? There's a calling on my life to do this and stand up for what I believe in and what God has placed on my heart to do, and you're not going to scare me, because a lot of those are control, scare tactics to get you to bow out. Intimidation tactics.
Look, I can tell you this. When I was on the outside, when I was a guy that was a gun rights activist, I led a gun rights group. I've had a senator, big guy, put his chest up against my face and said some things to me that I can't repeat now.
Yeah.
Didn't scare me. It doesn't scare me. I mean, I'll take a bullet for the team. Hit me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that activism built me up to, it's all, like you said, I think, it built me up to the next level. I mean, and so I'm there, man. I'm ready to go.
It prepares you. Daniel in the lion's den, right? There's 4 in the fire. And, we look at a lot of biblical references for so many other things in life, from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to Daniel in the lion's den to Saul and David, to all these different things that we have to endure as believers, but also for the betterment of America. And it is self-sacrificing, right? To some extent, you're self-sacrificing. You're doing things for a higher calling. You're caring about the people, because ultimately that's who you work for. And the organized crime thugs, maybe people that you've encountered in politics previous to this or may encounter in the future, aren't going to put roadblocks in your way from doing what you think you're called to do. You've been a big proponent of gun rights. You've stood up for that a lot. Tell us a little bit about what you did in Wyoming alone for gun rights. I know that's a big thing on the Americans' heart right now. Is Biden going to take our guns? What are the left trying to do? What seats are they trying to establish to systematically destroy our freedoms?
Well, look, when I got involved in politics, I was just an ordinary guy that looked at what was going on, thought I knew, right? I was an avid news watcher, thought I knew something. What I learned when I went down to the Capitol and I started talking to legislators and finding out what was really, because I found champions that really cared about the same issues, and not just guns. They cared about a lot of conservative issues, following the Constitution. They cared about pro-life issues. They cared about fiscal government. And what I found was everything I thought I knew about politics was wrong. Because I thought I had this idea how things work. It's kind of like that story I was talking about. Mr. Smith goes to Congress. He gets run over. That's what happens. If you have that mindset and don't start looking at how it really works, you will get run over. And so what happened is, one of the issues came up is there was a guy in Cheyenne, young man, 21 years old, and they were breaking in the house. There were 2 thugs breaking in the house. It's a longer story. I'll give you the short